without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to your new Prince of Persia. That's him on the right. And his lovely accomplice, Elika.
I think it focus.
I'm going to start talking today about Elika. I've said a lot about her in the past. I talked about her at UB Days and in some previews in the past. But now you get to see her in action. I said that Elika never gets in the way. And you see she doesn't get in the way. I said she never dies. She never falls behind. You can see she's always on your tail. And I said that she is there to make you, the player, feel cool. She is there to support the prince. The prince is an action hero. He's already a pretty powerful prince. She's also there to help save the prince if he dies. The prince is already a pretty powerful action hero, but by collaborating with Elika, he's able to just go that much further. She saves him if he dies. She helps point the way through the world to make sure he doesn't get lost. You'll see that in a couple of minutes. She helps him go further, go faster, and just make sure that what was already a pretty fantastic action hero is now that much cooler. So Prince of Persia is no longer a linear game. We've taken the player out of the linear Prince of Persia experience that you saw from the past trilogy into a world where they are in charge. They get to decide where they want to go. Now, Tama, if you can just look around a little bit here and show them the left, show them the right, show them back, show them forward. Those are all possible paths for the player to take. And depending on the path that you take, gameplay is going to evolve differently, and the story is going to evolve differently. So no two players are going to have exactly the same gameplay experience, and hopefully it will lend itself very well to replayability. Now, for the sake of this demo, we followed a certain path, but before we could complete it, we are interrupted by the hunter, which leads me into the third point, combat. As you can see, the combat in Prince of Persia really centers around the idea of a duel. It's you and it's Elika facing off against one enemy who's every bit as strong, every bit as capable as the combined power of you and Elika. It's going to take everything you've got to defeat this guy and every other enemy in the game. We really want you to have that sensation, that sense of urgency that comes from the feeling of a really, really spectacular boss fight. And we want that every single fight in the game. We want the camera really close, so you get those really cool dramatic shots. We want to make sure that you and Elika have the opportunity for some spectacular, collaborative, acrobatic combat against this enemy. And choosing to do this dual-type fight has allowed us to do exactly that. Now, Tama, obviously being the designer of this system, is very good and managed to make short work of our friend the hunter, and he's run away. Acrobatic flow is very important in Prince of Persia. In the previous trilogy, if you were a very talented player, a hardcore player, if you will, you were able to pull off some incredible acrobatic sequences. But if you're a more casual player, shall we say, perhaps just getting used to the Prince of Persia franchise, there was a lot of stop and go. Jump, die. Jump, wall run, die. Jump, wall run, pull, die. And that's not really the rhythm that we want. We want all players, casual, hardcore, whatever, to have that sense of accomplishment that comes from just flowing through the world and hitting every single move just seamlessly, while at the same time making sure that those really advanced players have lots of opportunities to explore different pathways, maybe find some shortcuts, maybe string together a couple of moves that the casual players hadn't thought of. You're going to find acrobatics in Prince of Persia a real change from the acrobatics that you were used to in Sands of Time, but an improvement. You're going to be able to pull off those acrobatic combos that sort of even just the best players were able to do in the previous Prince of Persia games. You saw one of the creatures here sort of reach out and try and drown the prince, try and kill him. And before the prince could die, Elika reached out, grabbed his hand, and pulled him back to a safe platform. We call this move the Save Me. The point of the Save Me is to make sure that you, the player, feel frustration a little bit from dying. You know that you've just died, you tried to pull off an acrobatic move and you failed. Elika brings you back to the previous stable platform without interrupting the sense of immersion, or even really the sense of rhythm that comes from the game. You're right back in the action. We don't think we need to artificially reinforce the sense of failure for the player anymore. You lose, continue, press start. I mean, I think gaming has evolved beyond that. And the Save Me system in Prince of Persia, we feel, is really a good representation of exactly that. So,